Wonderful. The first thing we do is follow him to his house. When we get there, we walk in and check his library, number one. Somebody says, well, why check his library? The reason is because what a man reads pours massive ingredients into his mental factory, and the fabric of his life is built from those ingredients. You would not believe what some people have got in their house to read. You would not believe. One of the best dressed up words I know for a lot of it is trash. Can you imagine dumping a barrel of trash into this mental factory every day and coming out with a rich, dynamic, positive life? It can't be done. You might as well try making a cake with cement.
All righty then. Let's be quick. I've got to go on to an interview soon with Coffee and Mike and John Waters in Ireland over Irish matters, which are really picking up very strongly, which is something that Masako and I have been warning about for several years now after we smelled something off and we flew to Ireland, and sure enough, it was. Many people have complained that I had some audio problems in the last couple of podcasts, and they were right. We researched it. It's not the microphone. It's not the wire or anything. It's like when I make the videos, they're fine. And but when they upload to Substack, somehow they go off. And so we're doing different methods now. But I don't know if anybody would notice, but the problems were at the 4-second mark, the 14-second mark, the 44-second mark, the 1 minute and 44-second mark, the 2 minute and 24-second mark, the 2 minute 44-second mark, the 2 minute 54-second mark, and on and on. What's up with the fours? I don't know. Maybe it's numerology, because 4 is maybe somebody sending a message and didn't realize that we would actually notice that. But the fours, of course, and some numerology, that would, like Chinese, that would be a sign of death. That's why you don't see airplane flights. It would be flight 44 from Beijing to Shanghai, right? Because they don't like fours. Fours, there's no fourth floor in the hotels when you go to China, that sort of thing. Anyway, I don't know. Bottom line is we got it fixed, and well, not really, but we've found a workaround, because it's not within our power to fix it. It's something on the Substack side, apparently. Anyway, now, big things unfolding, as you can see. One is Germany just blew up the cooling towers on one of their nuclear plants down in Bayern. Germany is clearly destroying itself. This is emblematic of the destruction of the West and Japan. Firing sequence. There it goes. I talked with some Germans yesterday at the protest here in Tokyo and told them about this. They were unaware of it. And they were shocked. They looked at it on their phone. One was from Munich, actually not far from this plant. We've actually done similar in the United States with coal powered plants. You may have seen the facility, and also Netherlands with their natural gas at Groningen. There's been intentional destruction of infrastructure. Water infrastructure is being ripped up all over the place. It's self-destruction. But here's some German news. Here's one that just came out 52 minutes ago. Die Sprengung im Video hiervon, die Kühltherme des AKW Grüne. So basically, here's the explosion or demolition in video of the cooling towers of this AKW power plant in Gundrimen. I don't know the name of that town. I've probably been in it, and I don't even know the name of it. But yeah, so they blew it up. I mean, it looked like, the Twin Towers, which it was twin cooling towers, or Building 7. This information war is absolutely intense. There is no form of warfare that's higher than information war. That's why you have Germans. It said here, basically thousands of Germans were there cheering it on. And in the video, you can see there were a lot of Germans there cheering it on. I mean, if they're into suicide, it's a smart thing to do. It's a go ahead and freeze to death. I mean, that's what the German industry is being destroyed. Masako and I successfully predicted Nord Stream being destroyed. In fact, we went to Germany in advance of that. The last time we were warning about it was 14 days before Nord Stream was destroyed. We warned about Groningen gas field. I warned about that on the Jordan Peterson show when I was on with Ava of Lardingerbrook, and then it happened. I mean, these long shots, when you know what they're up to, we know what they're up to. This is about genocide. The same things that are happening in Ireland are what's happening in Gaza. It's just happening in different ways. It's happening across the United States, Lahaina, all North Carolina, so many different places. Jabs, jabs, jabs. Speaking of which, Steve Bannon was just on an interview. I'll put part of the video up, and he's saying Trump 2028, and that there'll be some workaround the Constitution, and Trump will be president 2028. That would be a third term for those who are new to America, especially for those who sneaked in over the border and invaded the United States. You may not realize that according to our Constitution, which you probably never heard of, that we're not to have 3 terms as president, because that's setting you up for a dictatorship, right? And it's setting up exactly the things that Americans don't want, which is entrenched power. And so actually Bannon was sitting there going for it. He's, I'll put the video up. I'll put a video clip up. So anyway, this interview is coming up soon with John Waters and with Coffee and Mike. So I've got to get off soon. But I picked up this book in Kyoto the other day, and this one is an interesting book, and it's related to what we're talking about. And this is from 1829. Or more accurately, MDCCCXXIX, which is 1829. And so it's an historical essay of the Magna Carta of King John, to which are added the Great Charter in Latin and English, the Charters of Liberties and Confirmations granted by Henry III and Edward I. And then this is why I bought the book. Actually, it was not the Magna Carta part, but it was the original Charter of the Forest. You know what those are? The original Charter of the Forest. Actually, interestingly, I was talking with some very highly educated Brits a couple of days ago, and they'd never heard of this. But anyway, I saw this, the original Charter of the Forest, and bought it immediately. The original the Magna Carta, for those who are aware, is widely lauded as one of the greatest documents ever made by man. And, of course, it's been basically thrown out. And the Magna Carta, but the Magna Carta, which outlines many freedoms and that sort of thing and due processes, is really only a constitution for the rich people, like the Baron Wars that they had there back during that time frame. When was that? I'm sorry, my memory's bad. 1217. Let's see. And I think they did the Charter of the Forest in 1217, right? With the new king, who was, as I recall, let's see, he became king. Well, King John was a typical tyrant, like Donald John Trump, and Biden and Obama, and a long list of successive tyrants who are all part of the same architecture, right? That's what's key, right? What's key is they're part of the same architecture, just like the king who replaced the tyrant King John. He was 9 years old, so he was obviously a puppet king. He was 9 years old when he Henry III, and so when Henry III was maybe 11. When was John Henry III born? I'm sorry, my memory is very bad. It was 1206 or something. Anyway, I'm sorry, but in about I think it was 1206 that Henry III was born, and man, I need some more sleep. But Henry III, he then, the Charter of the Forest, I think, was 1217 when he was 11. So, it's basically saying, thanks to Henry III, we got the Charter of the Forest. What is Charter of the Forest? First, let's talk about Magna Carta. Why did the Magna Carta even get made? Because King John was a tyrant, and finally people rose up. But who rose up? Not the peasants, it was the barons. So the barons rose up, and the big landowners and that sort of thing. And so they rose up and they came to London and they were going at it, And so finally the king, who was a drunkard, was like, we better get this fixed. And they, anyway, ended up with the Magna Carta. And so, which most people probably have heard the name Magna Carta and know little about it, but it was really, say, a constitution for the rich people, had nothing to do with the average people. It's not even your average billionaire would be included in that club, right? We're talking super clubs here, right? But of course, that was the old days before billionaires, unless you count how many acres they owned. But the original Charter of the Forest, you've probably seen. I mean, that caught my eye. I bought the book instantly when I saw that had the chart, because I started reading anyway, the Charter of the Forest. I just never have run across the book, which actually had talked about that. I'm sure there's a huge amount of them out there, but in a Japanese bookstore, I'd never seen one. So the Charter of the Forest is basically the king's land. And I'm going somewhere with this, very important to Ireland and the United States and Lahaina and North Carolina and all these places. This is very important. For those who study history much, you're probably already putting the pieces together, or maybe you have years ago before me. The Charter of the Forest was sort of the constitution for the little people, because the king's forest, he had all the forest, he had all the powers. Remember, back then and still today, a lot of kings think they were sent by God. And, speaking of which, I just got a message from Thailand. The king's wife has now passed away. I literally got that message like 7 minutes ago. And actually, she was a great lady, and she was King Rama IX wife, and so the queen. And Her Majesty has passed away. I literally just got that note. And I'll say something tomorrow about that. King Rama IX actually was a good king, a very good king. And I've talked about him many times, but we'll save that for tomorrow, because that deserves a dedicated talk. And but a lot of the kings think Masako's walking in. A lot of the kings think that they are, just that they were sent by God. And so everything under them, just like, as the Bible would tell us, everything, all the God's creatures are basically the purview of man, that you can, use the sheep how you want to use the sheep. You can use the land how you want to use the land, and that sort of thing. Well, for the king, one step up, and you can use the people in the same way. And so I've got stacks and literally shelves of books about how to repopulate places, basically how to farm people, right? And these are old books. And so, and it goes on and on. Very much detail in many countries around the world how to do this. So it didn't just come from white people, right? And so so in this, the Charter of the Forest. So here, let me hold that up so you can maybe screenshot that. The Charter of the Forest, right? Maybe screenshot it and you can find this book. I hope it's in focus. I'll pull it back. This is a high resolution camera, so maybe you can, in case it didn't focus closely. And you can find this book. And you can probably find it on archives.org and download it for free, actually. And so the king's saying, we're sent by God, basically chosen people. And chosen people tend to be very abusive towards those who are not chosen, because they seem to treat those who are not the chosen people as they treat them less than chickens. They treat them abusively, right? And the King John also treated his people abusively, and he was a drunkard. He had his wife locked up in prison and all. I mean, he was quite a character. And so the barons rose up anyway, end up with the Magna Carta for the rich people. But then comes the poor people. And all the land or a huge amount of the land is the king's land, as it is now in many places. And so people weren't allowed to hunt there. You may look at old films that are black and white, and the king, if the king catches you hunting on his land, surely you shall die. That sort of thing, where people, these old black and white films where they're still alluding to this, hunting on the king's land, and they'll burn down entire villages if they catch people hunting on the king's land, no matter what it is, because those are the king's deer. If you're chopping down wood on the king's land, for firewood, you should be digging peat somewhere. You'll see, even I think it may have been Monty Python. Remember when the peasants are digging in the soil and they're covered in muck, or they're it's sort of an allusion to the Charter of the Forest in Monty Python. That's an old comedy where these guys are digging in the muck, and anyway, you'd have to look it up. It's quite humorous, but it's not at the same time. But the Charter of the Forest, where the kings thought that they owned it all because they had the divine right. Now, this is what's happening now. There are a lot of these people who think that they own the world, and we're just in their way. They're open about this. There's zero conspiracy theory about this. They're incredibly open about it. And so, and we're in their way. They want the bears back, which is, coming around Japan. A lot of wolves in Europe and other places in the United States. These wolves are part of the war. And a lot of people don't get that. I mentioned the other day that I wouldn't doubt if some of these wolves and bears are intentionally habituated to people before they are released, if they didn't grow out there on their own, because some of these bear attacks seem to be pretty interesting. There's a lot of people being killed by bears here in Japan now, and a lot more people wounded. And you can see some of the videos. They're not AI. They're actual bear attacks that are unfolding. Masako and I were with a bear hunter up in Japan, a couple of years ago now, and he had a stack of skulls, and he's been hunting bears for all his life, since he was 4 years old on his grandfather's back. He said was his first bear hunt. And so, but what I'm getting to is the wolves. Last time I was in Netherlands, a wolf was killed near my hotel, very close on the highway. And again, Netherlands, a lot of that place was underwater before. It was not the normal indigenous range of wolves, unless they were sea wolves chasing sea ponies and seahorses. So, but now that those wolves are all over Netherlands, if you kill one, you'll go to prison, right? And when you go to the World Economic Forum website and look up rewilding, you'll see what I'm talking about. Look up World Economic Forum website, WEF.org, WEF.org, and look up rewilding. You'll see it. They're going. I've talked about this for years. I mean, it's there's nothing hidden about it. They're doing right in front of God and everybody. This is one of those weapons that they're using. But what they're doing, look at Lahaina. They're depopulating areas to take the land. These are, like Ireland at the moment, is being genocided. They're being replaced. The flows of the invaders are increasing into Ireland. You see a 10-year-old girl apparently was just raped, the same here in Japan, actually. I think same age, actually. Anyway, not to get into the details, but it's happening a lot all over the place. And part of that is the repopulation and then depopulation of the replacement. So basically the people that are entrenched, say in Ireland, they're being genocided, and it will happen. At this rate, they will be genocided. I have no doubt in my mind, unless they do something. There is nobody to talk to about it. Protest ain't working. You either stand up and stop it, or you will die, or you will run off and probably die somewhere else. It's that simple. Let's get down to it, right? And so and that's what's happening. So you see Irish are moving out, which they've done for many I've got a stack of books right here, The Vanishing Irish. I've showed some of them before. They prepped the information battlefield for years for the Irish to be gone, and the English have wanted them gone for a long, long time. And I've got so many books on Ireland and the vanishing Irish, and I mean many, many, many books of these like this, and other books that are, here's one on the not Ireland specifically, but the rural depopulation in England and Wales, 1851 to 1951. It's telling you how it's done. I mean, it's very, they don't hide what they're doing and how it's been done. And so there's endless books. You can't even read them all. You'd have to spend the rest of your days reading all of it to read them all. It's one of those back corners of libraries that people don't spend much time in, but of course I do. France faces depopulation. This is 1968. You think? And look where we're at today. So these things radiate well in advance. Remember when people were telling us in black and white films that this was going to happen, like G. Edward Griffin, famine in peasant societies like Ireland, right? And so at the end of the day, we are going to see great wars, and there will be great famines, and some people will make it through and many will not. There's a lot of wild cards out there. There are competing kings, some who want this and some who don't. And I say kings, let's expand that to oligarchical systems. And and so here we go. And Bannon is now talking about putting King Trump into King Donald John Trump in for another term. In fact, I think I'll message him as soon as I hang up from this. And because people are sending me this thing, that his video where he's talking about putting Trump in for a third term and how they're going to somehow work around it. They have some plan, I guess, trust the plan. And here it is. I mean, you're in a state of war. Trump is a real estate dealer, of course, kind of funny, huh? And so they're clearly making real estate deals. They're clearly selling off America, clearly selling off. Look at Germany. They're deconstructing Germany right before our eyes. Nord Stream blowing up the most recent power plant, deindustrializing Europe in general. There's going to be famines in Europe. You're going to have people depopulated. They're going to be gone. So in Ireland, due to the 10-year-old girl, I think the parent 10-year-old girl, according to the reports, was raped. And now people are rising up. And let's see if it's a flash in the pan or they listen. More people are coming from Pakistan and Afghanistan and India straight to Ireland. Those are the replacements who will later be mostly replaced if their plans are successful. They don't hide this stuff. It's right there in plain sight. It's in these old books, right? It's in the old books that the kings or the people who fashion themselves as king, El Trumpo with all the gold, and he's just obviously a condom. He'll be discarded at the appropriate time, but the structure is there. When King John was gone, I think he died of, I don't know, one of those old diseases. Well, it's still a current disease, but when John died, however he died, King John died. Then came King Henry III at 9 years old, as I recall, and so the structure was still there, and the structure is still there, right? And so, likewise with whatever happens with Trump, he'll come and go like a leaf on an autumn tree, and then somebody will replace him on that tree, because these are structures. They're guarding the structures. They're not guarding the individuals are actually irrelevant. It's the structures, and so here we go. You can see that Ireland is going to kick off. You're going to see the genocide unless it happens in your neighborhood first. People who are still supporting people that are trying to kill them, like with death jabs. I mean, fool us once, shame on you. Fool us for year and year and years online. That's part of the problem, actually. Part of the problem are the people who just continue to make up reasons why it's okay for, say, Trump to have a third term or anybody to have a third term. The reason that we have this incredible Constitution was to put a check on these powers, especially on maniacal powers. You're going to end up seeing Zionists take parts of America. You're going to see that. You're going to see Indians take part of America. You're going to see China take part of America. It's clearly happening. I'm not saying you're going to see it. It is happening. It's physically happening. I took Misako to San Francisco several years ago, and I said, this is where China will make their capital city in North America if things proceed the way that they are. And then later, long after that, you saw Xi fly to California, went to San Francisco, And after they cleaned up all the bums and the shit off the sidewalks, cleaned that stuff up, and he didn't even bother to go to Washington, D.C. I mean, that's a huge signal. Trump meeting Putin in Alaska, that's about, these are real estate deals. These are clear real estate deals. And these are the kings dealing, these governments that we have that have been captured. These are in the way. They're being deconstructed. The idea, that there's going to be mass deportations, I'm not seeing that at all. I'm not seeing it. And maybe somebody else is, and I'm just blind to it. But I tell you what, if I were going to call somebody who would see it, I would call myself because of my network, right? And we go to these places constantly. Now, tomorrow in Tokyo, there's a protest against the invasions here in Tokyo, or I'm not in Tokyo, but I'm in Japan. But there's a protest tomorrow in Tokyo where many people will be there, hopefully protesting what's happening, because the same thing's happening here in Japan. There was a report that, for instance, one young lady and her husband apparently were attacked. She was raped and impregnated, and she committed suicide, right? This sorts of stories are percolating out there, and people are wildly upset, and it's time to testosterone up or you're going to die. And that's the bottom line of what's going on today. I got to get ready for this interview. And by the way, thank you for those who are supporting. Hugely need it. For years, I very rarely ask for support. I need it. These are stormy seas. Misako and I need it. The things that we've provided are 24 karat. The people who have heeded this advice, some of whom I know are going to be much better off. Many people heeded the advice and never took the death jabs. And so there you go. I mean, so if they died of anything, it wasn't the death jabs. And likewise, for your economic security, there are a lot of things going on. I can't offer economic advice on where people should put their chips, but we know that fiat money is fiat money, and it's not actually money, it's currency. Current money is gold, money is silver, right? Money is not fiat. Fiat is currency. So your dollars are evaporating away right in front of us right now. If you've got dollars, you need to do something useful with them. Whatever you can do with those dollars to put them into use or to safeguard them, preferably both. If you can put them into a position where they are both safeguarded and somehow working for you, there you go. And so I highly suggest you do it. Work on your comms plan. Remember, cowards are always traitors. Cowards are natural traitors. Any cowards in your network, put a block around them. Get away from them. You don't want them. It's cooties. It's going to be nothing but problems as time goes on. The people that have a demonstrated record of cowardice, it's time to man up or be shunned, because you don't want them in your wire. That's a built-in Trojan horse. It's an organic Trojan horse that will just activate when the conditions are right. That's what happens when the conditions are right. When things get very stressful, those people who are natural cowards are going to sell you out. And that's what's going to happen. And so it's time to put your war hat on and think like that. Think you have to use your deepest discernment, a lifetime of work and study. And when the little voice tells you, listen to it. When the little voice is on your shoulder and says, don't go that way, listen to it. Because your best advisor is your intuition, especially if you've developed it over the years and you worked hard you can make your intuition better. It's not just something you're just born with and it's at some level. No, you can definitely make your intuition better, far better, by being brutal with your own, what your intuition has told you before. And, was it right or wrong, and correct it. You gotta, like a bonsai, you gotta correct that thing. You've got to be brutal with the assessments of what you get right and wrong, and keep reassessing so that you develop paradigms that you listen to when they're right. And if not, you either throw them out or rework them, and you work to get 24 karat gold information into the paradigm that's working. A paradigm that's useful is one that's predictive. It never leaves you surprised. If you're surprised by something, it's because your paradigm is wrong. If you're surprised that Trump is seeking a third term, it's because you're not looking at the situation right. If you're surprised that Trump tried to and may succeed in getting marijuana legalized in Florida. That is a primary weapon used against us. Actually, I got to go soon, but let me go down that rabbit hole just for a moment. On the dope. Now, the dope heads, which I don't listen to dope heads because they don't respect their brains, so I don't respect their thoughts. How can I respect a machine that clearly is not working, right? It's clearly not working. A brain that tells me that it's smart to put chemicals in it so that they can think at a higher level. Go think over there with the cowards, because I've got no use for you. I don't want you around. I don't want common ground with you. There's no common ground, because you're going to bring that stink into the room and it's going to infect young people. Don't want you around. When the stresses come, you will be left on the island, right? It's that serious. This is man stuff, right? At the end of the day, don't do dope. Now, the dope heads. You can see they're trying to get this going in Japan with these stores. They're already all over Thailand, thousands of them, right? Now, the dope heads are like, what about alcohol? They always say that because you're trained to do that, right? That too, right? How do you think we killed the Indians? I got a whole huge amount of book killing Indians with alcohol all through these books and many of the books that I have, right? How did we beat the Indians? It wasn't with muskets. There was a little bit with muskets and repeating rifles, and it was also killing off their food supply, killing off their buffalo, making them leave land that they were suited for and knew how to hunt and that sort of thing. And so, but we soused them with alcohol, we soused them with fire water, right? Now, cannabis. Now, of course, the dope brains don't think this through, which they would not do, or they wouldn't be doing dope all the time. But the dope heads will tell you, well, the government's generating taxes off of that. Okay. All right, dope head, let's break it down for those who are not on dope. First of all, we know that we're being poisoned. We know that we are being poisoned, Trump, and we know that. That is just a fact. We know that the poisoning is coming in many ways, maybe aerosoled with the geoengineering, which Dane Wigington talks about all the time, right? I mean, the geoengineering is real. People say, oh, that's conspiracy theory. Hey, listen, get off the dope. It's not conspiracy theory. It's not. It's real, right? Now, what level it's happening, I don't know, because, it's hard to tell where the gray becomes black and white, but it's clearly happening. And so there's many weapons arrayed against us. Now, when it comes to the dope. Now, the dope that's being sold today through these cannabis stores is not the dope that is sold, that people were growing in their backyards in the 60s. These are laced with chemicals. We saw some in Thailand recently. We actually went into a store and bought some, flushed it down the toilet. You smell this crap, it makes you sick to smell it, right? It's not like the sweet smell of the marijuana you would smell sometime or a lot. It's something else. It's like some kind of chemical. It's destructive. You can feel it. And this is one-stop shopping for poisoning people, because the dope stores, think about it. This isn't people that are distributed buyers all over the place that are distributed, buying from people that are growing it in the forest in Appalachia or something. This is corporate. So this is consolidated ability to poison people. It's consolidated. Keep in mind, there's a lot of people that will smoke dope or do some sort of drugs that won't do the alcohol. But all of this is intoxicants. When it comes, the biggest form of warfare, the most intense form of warfare is information war. We just saw the Germans blew up the cooling towers on a nuke plant. They just did it. I mean, it's I'll put the video up. You can watch the firing sequence, and 2 towers down, and they're cheering. I mean, that's information war that brings that about. They're going to be destroyed, and likewise with the dope, the intoxicants. When it comes to information war, the grease and the rocket fuel of information war is intoxicants, whether that be alcohol or marijuana or whatever. And it's an old play. It's been done through space and time. The word all those dope heads, by the way, out there, I'm talking about the marijuana dope head version, that species. Those dope heads often say, well, alcohol makes people violent, but not cannabis. Okay, first of all, dope head, that's a lie. That's a lie that dope heads spread. That's such a lie. I don't even know what to do with it. Where do you think the word assassin came from? Hashin, right? That's where it came from, right? So I mean, it's straight up a hardcore lie. It's just a lie. Not to mention the fact that this poisons that are being sold today, especially that is coming through these stores, you don't know what's in that stuff. And the THC levels are said to be through the roof. That's what they advertise when you go to the stores in the United States and you go to the stores in Thailand and other places, is how high the THC is. And it's just not, first of all, it's not the same stuff. Period. It's not even the same stuff. It's not the old dope. It's not the weed that, hey, they're outlawing a weed. It's not a weed. It's not a weed. It's the chemicals that they're putting in it. And it's genetically modified plants that are making people psychotic, running around like fools all over the place, driving, running into people, killing families, breaking into homes. One of the things you find when dope hits a community is suddenly your homes are getting broken into. Constantly, people are getting raped and killed. And of course, the dope heads who don't respect their own brains will try to say, it's about my freedom, man, right? They're watching Joe Rogan, Doper Joe Rogan, who is clearly part of the architecture. He's clearly part of what's killing us. He and his dope head buddy, Elon Musk, have pushed dope in front of millions of young people, tens of millions of young people. And still people will say, but Joe has great guests. Joe, he has great guests. That's why I go to Joe Rogan, because he has great guests. Of course he has great guests, because it's the smorgasbord, right? The smorgasbord it's not like every piece of food that you eat has poison. It's, it's great food, everything. There's the shrimp, there's the salad, it's long, it's a 20-foot smorgasbord, and one drop, and it's over. It's that simple. All right, I got to go because the Irish interview's coming up on Coffee and Mike. Thank you for those who support my work. I need it. Masako and I need it big time. We're putting it to work. And you need it, because this is 24 karat information. Those who are using it, some are actually alive today because they use it. Others have not lost all of their money because they've used it, and are increasingly, many people already have huge gardens and that sort of thing. Very important. Food security is very important. There's no future in the big cities that are flooding themselves with, by the way, I know I said I'm going to go, but I want to close on one other thing. These cities and the creation of cities, of which there's so many books on that. Those cities, the big cities like New York, notice the slave thinking that tends to come from the big cities. The big cities are designed and they are created to create the slave mentality. Straight up. And likewise, you see, for instance, the British are almost bred to be slaves. I mean, that's why the British and the Germans are basically bred to be slaves. And I'm serious. I'm dead serious. There's the ruling class. They got a caste system, right? And the Germans do too. It's kind of not as obvious as it used to be. But there's caste systems, right? And it's in their cultural firmware. It's in the cultural firmware for the average person to be a slave. And it's in the physical architecture of cities to create slave thinking. And this is done intentionally. It's in these old books. And, I hope I'm on the right camera. Oh, I was still on the wrong camera the whole time. Here we go. No, I am on the right camera. Good. There's two different cameras, but when I hit the table, it caused my screen to bounce, not the, anyway. And by the way, get you a poncho. It's poncho time. It's getting cold here in Japan. And this is my dress poncho. I know people love this poncho. I sure do. So, these are good for sleeping in too, by the way. And get wool. Anything that's cotton is for punks. You need wool. And get the best wool you can afford. And because remember, wool is an investment. I don't even know who makes this thing, so this is not an advertisement. It's an advertisement for the sheep. Wool is an investment. Cotton is an expense. Remember, all the Army people know this. Cotton kills, right? Everybody knows cotton kills. Cotton, you want to die in the cold? Go get you some cotton. You want to live in the cold? Go get you some wool. And anything you see me wearing that's, especially in the wintertime, there's my alarm to go on the interview. All right, I got to go. Get wool. Get the best wool you can get. Wool is an investment, and it's not itchy. It's very nice. Look at this. It's very, very nice. I sleep in this thing sometimes, right? I literally sleep in it sometimes. And I put it in the stealth mode, the sleep mode, and I just go to sleep. And boy, I love it. So ponchos, wool, go full wool, and get the best wool you can get. And it's not hard to take care of. Everybody says it's hard to take. It's not hard. Listen, just treat it like you would treat a cat. Don't throw the cat in the dryer, right? Don't throw the cat bouncing around in the dryer screaming, because this thing screams in the dryer. But otherwise, it's super easy. I mean, get wool socks. Don't even think about wearing cotton socks. Get wool socks. What kind of socks are you going to get? Wool. Wool lasts longer, and it's just better. Like, I travel a lot. I can't carry 20 pairs of socks, and I can't get everything washed all the time. If you wear cotton, you got to get the cotton socks washed constantly. I got to wash them in the sink or whatever. I haven't done that in years. Why? Because I get wool. Wool socks, wool everything except, this isn't wool, and by the way, wool is good in hot weather. It's very good in hot weather. A lot of people don't realize that. Wool can be better than cotton in hot weather. A lot of people don't realize that. Get wool. Wool is going to be an investment. You're going to be happy that you did. Wool blankets, wool everything, wool up. Speaking of wooling up, yesterday there were about 16 protests around Japan against the invasions. This country is being invaded like many others, and many Japanese are standing up. Misako and I went to 3 of those protests in Tokyo, so it lasted into the night. It was a long day, actually. And Misako, it was rainy and chilly. Misako was actually wearing her wool socks, and her feet were quite warm. And Trump should be here today. Yesterday was the 26th of October, 2025. Today is the 27th of October. Trump should be here today. He might be already here, and there's already protest, or not really protest, but welcoming out on the streets of Tokyo today, welcoming Trump and hoping he'll go to Yasukuni Shrine. And Misako has been getting messages and calls to ask her to come back to Tokyo, but she's got other appointments in other parts of Japan, so it's kind of difficult. But I've sent messages to some of Trump's close people recently saying that he should attend at Yasukuni Shrine, and let's see if he does. If he does, it'll be quite interesting. It'll be very controversial for China, because China is running an information war against Japan. China clearly plans to attack Japan at some point. I've written 3 books about this. It's quite obvious. In closing, you get what you pay for and you get what you allow. We have built up China and Zionists for decades, and now they are clearly in competition for who's going to take us over and win the prize. There can be only one, as that movie said, and there are big oligarchical structures fighting, and those are 2 of the main structures. This guy yesterday was feeding pigeons near the edge of one of the protests in Tokyo. Now you see welfare, food stamps are about to run out in the United States on November 1st. Built up generations of people who do nothing but make babies, pigeon people. Let's call it what it is. We don't have time for bullshit. We've seen generations of pigeon people built up, and now they are about to be set loose on us. We got what we paid for, and we got what we allowed. I made this footage in the Darien Gap on the invasion route. This is at Laja Blancas camp. These people are emerging from the Darien Gap. They know who feeds them. This is exactly the problem with our border. You feed the ducks, you feed the pigeons, and that's what you get. In Guatemala.
There's a subject we don't have time to get into tonight called better thinking habits. One of the major things Shove taught me when I met him, he said, poor thinking habits keeps most people poor. Not poor working habits. Most people work hard, but they don't think hard. And Shove taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. As you think, so you become. How awesome. When he talked about poor thinking habits, he had me. I used to start the day reading the morning newspaper. I mean, you can believe that or not. I'd get a cup of coffee and read the paper. I'd load up on wars and riots and murders and stabbings and killings and bank robberies and muggings and car wrecks and tragedies. I'd even read the back pages. I seem to like that stuff for some weird reason. I'd load up on all that, and then I'd start the day. You can imagine the kind of days I used to have. You walk around on your financial knees. They call you economic peewee. The guy says, I want to be a great leader. Wonderful. The first thing we do is follow him to his house. When we get there, we walk in and check his library, number one. Somebody says, well, why check his library? The reason is because what a man reads pours massive ingredients into his mental factory, and the fabric of his life is built from those ingredients. You would not believe what some people have got in their house to read. You would not believe. One of the best dressed up words I know for a lot of it is trash. Can you imagine dumping a barrel of trash into this mental factory every day and coming out with a rich, dynamic, positive life? It can't be done. You might as well try making a cake with cement.